Hey, Shalawam, Shalawam. All right, first and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Vakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well and sincerely taught us this truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect, 144,000 men, as well as one third men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. It's your brother Yeramiah Kazak, back with hopefully another edifying lesson through the spirit, power, and strength of Yahawah Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. All right, this one will be entitled Absolute Control, okay, or, absolute surveillance is what they're trying to push upon the people. I got a little video. Just gonna play it, and then we're gonna hit a couple scriptures on it, man. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be a long one. All right, so let's let it go.
And then Senator King.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Ditlevson, I want to talk about some reports we had this week coming out of the Pentagon about the use of artificial intelligence. And you know, we all know, or many of us know, we're in a classified race against the Chinese on artificial intelligence. Reports came out this week that Secretary Hegseth was negotiating a contract with an AI company, and this AI company says, look, we just have two conditions. We're not going to allow our AI to be used to develop weapons that can kill without a human being in the kill chain. And then number two, we're not going to allow our AI to be used for mass surveillance of American citizens. And that Secretary Hegseth got very upset about those two conditions, that he refused those conditions. And now I think this is, you know, if we were a healthier country politically right now, we would be putting up left and right limits around the use of AI. We have really no guidelines for you all, really no law. That's not your fault. That's on us on a bipartisan basis that we haven't done it. And I would argue we should be doing some of that for you all in this committee, setting up those left and right limits, because I think the average person does not think we should allow weapon systems to get into war and kill people without a human being overseeing that in some way. And I certainly don't think any American Democrat or Republican wants mass surveillance on the American people. So I guess my plea is for us as a committee to deal with this in the NDAA. But because you're up for the job on Homeland issues, I have to ask about this mass surveillance. Why wouldn't Secretary Hegseth say, no problem, we're never going to use AI at the Pentagon to conduct mass surveillance of American citizens?
All right, and 1 second, let me check my notifications. Okay. All right, I'm good. All right. As you can see, you know, she said as a healthier nation, which America is not really a healthy nation, man. This is why this is still on the table. Okay, this is my first time using this right here, so bear with me if I'm trying to see comments. Okay, I can see the comments now. Hey, Shalawam to the brother, y'all, what's up? Yahawah Bahasham, Yasharahla. You know, but what they're moving into is what they're basically talking against. All right, they're moving into ultimate surveillance. They're moving into using AI and drones and all this type of stuff to attack and to be used in warfare. I had to show it so many times on these different movies, right? Such as Terminator and all of that. All right, let's go to the precepts. Let's go real quick to Psalms 64 and verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them? Now these snares, it could be any type of forms, any type of schemes that they got, which is AI. AI is a major part of the NWO, the one world government, one world banking system, all right, one world religion. AI is going to be a massive part of controlling and surveilling everything that's going on this planet, man. You know? So that's what we're going to see with, hey, everybody's using Chat GPT. That's just on a college level. So that's on a college level. But guess what? The military's chat GPT is. It's far more advanced than what you got. Why would they ever, everything they give you, as far as cell phones, all of that, bro, it's about 20 years old. Okay? About 20 years old or more. They've been using these type of devices. They've been using cell phones and all that in the military in the 80s, 70s. Okay? Satellite phones, all of that stuff, man. You know? That's why when Congress last year, when they was discussing, they told everybody to get a satellite phone because they know they're planning for a grid blackout, right? Where your phone's not gonna work off the what they have. These towers and stuff are gonna be took down. So that's another snare that's laid privately, man. But everybody in Congress has a satellite phone where they'll still be able to communicate with one another, right? I gotta check this order real quick, make sure I ain't got no order. All right, I'm good. Okay. Bahasham shot. So verse 6, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, but the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. You know, and that's these Edomites. Okay. And yeah, your basic ones too, man. They have wicked thoughts. Every single Edomite is wicked, you know. But who we really going at and attacking is those Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Oppenheimers, etc., the ones that's at the top, so-called elite. Let's go to Isaiah 14. Okay. And really, I start at 5. All right, well, yeah. Start at 4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? So Yahawah, this is a future prophecy, which is taking place. We're seeing it, right? He's taking that golden cup, you know, America, he's throwing it down. He's used it for a time period, an appointed time, and it's done its purpose. It's brought much wickedness on the planet. All right, it's done all of that. Anybody that wanted to serve, said the kings of the earth have committed fornication with the whore, with America. Right? Now, what is Yahawah about to do? Yahawah have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He's about to take the power away from these wicked elites, from this wicked kingdom, and he's about to give that power to who? To Jacob, according to 2nd Esdras 6 and 9. Right? All right, let me make sure. I'm trying to make sure. It's hard to see these precepts, man. Hard to see these comments. And Salakia, yo, this is my first time using this. Okay. But I could see Shalawam to brothers and sisters coming in here. I don't know how to scroll up on it. But let's get back to the video, because it gets better.
Harry Hegseth say, no problem. We're never going to use AI at the Pentagon to conduct mass surveillance of American citizens. You've been the number 2 over there. You're now gunning for the number 1 job, up for confirmation. To your knowledge, is the Assistant Secretary role of Homeland Security, do you have any programs currently going on involved in the mass surveillance of American citizens?
Senator, I can't speak to the specifics of that meeting with Secretary.
No, of course not. I'm not asking that. Just for you. You've been in the number 2 job. You're in the seat. Don't deflect. To your knowledge, is the purview of the position you're trying to get, is there any mass surveillance programs of the American people going on right now in that assistant secretaryship?
To my knowledge, Senator, not within that assistant secretaryship. We focus on policy
That's
writing.
Fine. I want the answer to be no. I'm gunning for a no. I want you to say no. Are you aware, and can you confirm that it is illegal under U.S. law for the Department of Defense, and particularly intelligence community assets, to surveil or target American citizens for their views?
Senator, I'm not intimately familiar with the exact language in different statutes. I would always defer to the Office of General Counsel to make sure any policy advice that we provide is lawful.
Okay, it is the law, right? Executive orders, the National Security Act of 1947, and then everything that came out of Watergate. American citizens don't want to be surveilled by their government. You do criminal activity, go for it. You should be brought down.
But hey, with the Patriot Act, okay, of the 90s, you know, where they got probable cause to tap your phones and do all of this. Man, you could watch the show The Wire, right? Classic show on HBO, man. They don't need much just to tap your phone. They just need a little bit of probable cause. Okay? So, hey, for individuals, you may not think this, but you're on social media and you're talking about, you're speaking up against Trump. You're speaking up against, hey, that's probable cause. Okay, dude might be a terrorist, right? So therefore, boom, they're going through your records, your emails. They're tracking your location. They're already tracking your location via your phone already, even if you turn it off, man. When you make a call, your phone is being pinged with certain towers. So you're already on the grid. You got people on the grid trying to live off grid, but you're already on the grid. Even if you're living off grid, you're never really off the grid, man. This system is already designed for absolute control, right? Brothers have brought it out many times. They got cameras leaving the city, entering the city, surveillance, tracking, looking at your license plate. Right now in the Inland Empire, they can look inside your car. Okay? They got X-ray, I guess, cameras with, you know, X-ray technology where they can look inside your car. Right? So we're moving into that surveillance state, that big brother state, and we've been in that with your phones. How you know your phone, the algorithm is tracking you. So this dude, this Edomite sitting up here talking about he doesn't know the law. And how you in Congress, you making laws, but you don't know the law. How you in these high-level positions, but you don't know? You do know, man. All right? They just be fronting.
But mass surveillance, targeted surveillance of domestic terrorist organizations is a very sensitive subject that you're going to be in the hot seat for. So I would offer that instead of just deferring, you should get to know the law really quickly, because you're going to be asked at some point whether the actions of this government are okay by you. And when it comes to targeting American citizens, using assets of the intelligence community, using AI to surveil American citizens, I want you to answer no, that you will uphold the values that I hope we all share, which is that the U.S. government should never target its own citizens. Department of Defense especially should be focused on foreign threats and the things that are coming at us from abroad. Yours should be focused on cyber threats, things that are important to protecting American citizens, not surveilling our own people. And I will just say, along the same lines of what you will be asked, you know, Senator Sheehy was in Iraq. I was in Iraq too. Do you know of any credible threats of violence against U.S. polling locations that would ever require the National Guard to be deployed? Any actual credible threats, yes or no?
Senator, in this particular forum, I can't speak about any threats that may or may not exist. I need to maintain operational security.
I think the idea that the President of the United States is saying that we should deploy National Guard and potentially others around polling locations when there is no credible threats. You should bring them up here if there are credible threats. We all have clearances, but the idea that we could be deploying law enforcement and National Guard around a polling location without a credible threat should send a shiver down your spine. And you are going to be in the hot seat to say, no, I'm sorry. That just fundamentally cuts against who we are as Americans. And I hope you are willing to uphold your oath when it comes down to it.
Nah, but it's going back to the king of Babylon, where whatever he says, whatever he's doing, which he's a puppet, understand that. So whatever the elites, as we go back to that Isaiah 14, whatever the elites are putting in his mind, whatever they're putting in his script, he has to bring it forth. Now, going back to the AI and the tracking and all of that, how are they finding these migrants? How are they finding these individuals? Who do they know to target? Why are they in Minnesota? Why are they in LA? Why are they here? Why? Because they've been tracking. They know large numbers of people have been coming in these locations. So this is where we're going to go, right? They have, believe it or not, a conspiracy. They got lists. You got a red list, a blue list, all right, of targets who they will ultimately make a move on. You know, this was in a book in the 90s, Behold the Pale Horse, right? This has frequently been coming out that the CIA, the FBI, all these alphabet boys, they have certain lists. And if you a brother in this truth, you know, you don't think they got you on that list, we at the top. You're at the tippy top, man. And we can't be touched because Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, man. So we walking through the valley of the shadow of death, but we shall fear no evil. We don't fear what this devil plots upon us. All right, let's go back to this, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Verse 6, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. He rules the nation. To rule, you got dominion, you got power, he has authority. He is what? He has the authority to surveil you. The Constitution, what is that? What is that? That's out the window. That's not here no more. It's not being used. Certain executive orders have overruled the Constitution. So the executive branch has took that step above the judicial and the legislative branch. Okay? It's no longer a balance of power in the White House, which it hasn't been really since like the 80s. You know, George Bush Sr. was really the first king. That's you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it going. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. When this man has been what? When Yahawah has broken the staff of the wicked, when he takes their kingdom away. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fella is come up against us. The nations being trees, okay? Everybody on this planet is going to rejoice because the Edomites are took out of power. And the righteous are put back into power. Where going back into that state of Adam, knowing that Adam was Yahawashi ruling once again, being placed into that rulership position once again, with, you know, his brothers, giving them dominion and power. Once again, how it was in the beginning. We're trying to get back to something that we once had. Right? This is why it's important to start building a ruling class mentality in your mindset, even though we're not in a sovereign position right now. But we're moving into that position. This is our destiny. Right? What did Anakin say? We could rule the galaxy. It's our destiny, basically. You know? It really is our destiny. Verse 9, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And these kings of these nations will be under us. Okay? And they're gonna be back. They're the chief ones of their nation. Like the chief of Ham was Ham was Nimrod, right? You know, the chief of Babylonians, with Nebuchadnezzar. The chief of Moab is like Genghis Khan. You know, these individuals, these kings of the nations. But they're still going to be under the Israelites. We're going to have dominion and power and authority over all of them. And we're going to rule them with a rod of iron, man. Right? All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? They're going to look at these Edomites and be like, y'all done. And the verse 12 proves it. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and thy noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. The song that you were singing, this wicked song that you're giving to the earth, that shit is done away with. Okay? All right? How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down from the ground, which didst weaken the nations? That heaven, meaning your kingdom, your rulership, you're falling from it. We are witnessing the fall of this kingdom. We are witnessing the fall of Babylon, America, the UK, Edom, France, Spain, all these Edomite nations that are, you know, whatever they're in position of powers in. We're witnessing the fall of these elite banking families, all right? And they're hastening to move into a digital system, which that ain't gonna save them. You trying to save the dollar by something that ain't even really money, digital. You know? Ain't gonna work out. So the point being of this whole lesson is AI has already been used And these guys are just running in circles trying to act like they're not surveilling the American people. Where your regular iPhone and Android is doing that job every single day, man. All right. So, hey, with that being said, giving all praises be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. All right. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone. And Shalawam as always. All right. Kwam Yasharahla and a Baba Ball. Shalawam, Shalawam.